Good evening and welcome to the latest installment of Critics in Cars Getting Home.
And tonight we're covering Paul Thomas Anderson's latest LA epic, Licorice Pizza.
It's a coming-of-age story, and to be perfectly honest with you, I thought that I had had enough of coming-of-age stories, particularly ones with two stars of whom I had never heard before. The protagonists are Alana Haim, who I believe is a musician.
Yeah, she's one of the three sisters in the pop group Haim, who Paul Thomas Anderson, the director, has done, and writer and cinematographer and probably other things, has done music videos before.
Right.
And who I saw at Laneway once.
But this is her screen debut, right?
Yeah, her feature debut.
And
anyway.
she plays opposite the incredible teenage son of the late Philip Seymour Hoffman. And his son's name is Cooper Hoffman, and my goodness, is he a chip off the old blockaroo. So actually, I'm going to just start with saying, yes, there is room in your life for yet another coming-of-age story set in the 1970s in Los Angeles.
I was not looking forward to... Okay, so I should say I'm always looking forward to the new Paul Thomas Anderson movie. He's made more five-star films than any living American director for me, and he's made less than 10 films, so that's pretty incredible.
And more of his films are five-star films than aren't, because we haven't loved all of them, right?
Well, that's the thing, is they don't all land for me, and the films I'd heard going in as comparisons were like Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Dazed and Confused, and The Wildlife, and films like that, the high school coming of age things. And even when that genre is great, it's not my favorite genre, so in
terms of fun, I would say, if we're looking at Paul Thomas Anderson's oeuvre, this has more the sort of the oomph, the chutzpah of Boogie Nights than it does the... It ain't no There Will Be Blood or Phantom Thread, for example. There is not a Daniel Day-Lewis to be seen. But the performances are stunningly naturalistic. But as I say, with that joie de vivre of a Boogie Nights type film, right? More of an Inherent Vice, even though I didn't like Inherent Vice.
Yeah, well, there's a mix. And another interesting comparison I saw, because I know that Paul Thomas Anderson and Quentin Tarantino have kind of a frenemies, bromance, whatever combination of that, where they're trying to constantly one-up each other.
Right.
And so there's an element of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood with this, where they've mixed in together real screen peoples, including Bradley Cooper playing John Peters, and
at the time in John Peters' life when he was the boyfriend of Barbara Streisand. That's an in-joke, guys. You'll see it when you see the film.
Yeah. Which you should. I think I'm not quite as hot on it as you, but I loved it for about the first third. Like, the first third is just the fresh bloom of young love and possibility. We should say that Cooper's character, Gary, is a 15-year-old... entrepreneurial hustler. He's got 3 or 4 side hustles going, as we call them in 2021, as we didn't then. And he's always on the lookout for new opportunities. If he checks out a waterbed and decides he likes it, well... Next scene, there's
starting a waterbed company.
Big jumps without a lot of exposition. For a while, it's just a race to get to the next fun scene.
And basically, right, he's 15, he falls in love with the 25-year-old Alana, who is charmed by his chutzpah, again, because he's really plucky.
And she's going not much of anywhere with her life.
Right, but she's also like, I'm 25, and I'm the cool one here, so, you know. And so there's quite a charming... will they, won't they get together, I guess, right? Because it is not cut and dried, but it has that really lovely, that courtship, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I feel like it's very much resonant with the love stories in Punch Drunk Love, and even the one in Magnolia with John C. Reilly and Melora Waters, and Phantom Thread, actually, even that love story has its own complications, and these very thorny kind of non-traditional, but still... It's a very perverse sense of true romance, really.
Yeah.
For me, there's a certain point where the movie dives into 2 really big set pieces in a row, where these big side actors come in and sort of take over.
Yeah.
And for me, that's where it lost its path a bit.
I would agree with you. If we're thinking about anything to do with Bradley Cooper, who's great.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll give the lulz. But yes.
But that's coming off the back of the scene with Sean Penn and Tom Waits. Look,
Oh, yes, that's
Tom
right.
Waits is one of my favorite just presences, full stop.
And Sean Penn's great in it.
Yeah, and they both execute what they're doing perfectly. It's
Right.
just that it feels like suddenly the film has lost its sense of what I would call aboutism, and it's suddenly not about. It's only really secondarily about these two characters who we have so much heart invested in. I think that's the thing I struggled with, and I think that Paul Thomas Anderson must have struggled with in the writing and the directing, is his love for these characters and his love for the setting and all the places that they could go. And obviously, you know, he's been very faithful to the era. He's worked in plot threads about the oil embargo and pinball machines being legalized in California, and I believe it's a very period accurate, very stacked music track as well.
Right, and for people of a certain age, which for once I'm glad to say means older than us, because
Yes.
even if we were born in the 70s, we were too young to appreciate anything that goes on in this film. So people of a certain age more than us will indeed really find this. Well, we just walked out of the cinema and spoke very quickly to somebody who was in there who said she just wanted to stay immersed in that world, you know. So, I mean, apart from the clothes. But other than that, really delightful.
And the wallpaper.
So I agree with you, Doug. I mean, I think that the central relationship is so beautifully handled. It's the thing that we're rooting for. It's really nicely handled, and you're right, those other bits, even though they're really well executed, they do sort of, as you say, drag it off course a little bit, don't they?
I think so, but I think also
There's a good reason for it, like they're plot related.
yeah, and they do sort, but it's one of those things that it's a long way around the traps to get what you need to out of the scenes. But it's also, I mean, I the first time I saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I really didn't like it that much, and the second time, when I understood kind of the indulgence of it, and that was more about creating this world. I saw you there.
No, you're not indulgent, but Quentin is.
Yeah, well, yes, but it was about as our friend said, luxuriating in this world. So I
Yes.
think fair enough that pleasure is there for people, and
So if you think that a coming-of-age story set in the 1970s with two superb debut performances by the young people sounds like your cup of tea, then I would say Licorice Pizza is your jam.
and I'd say see it even if it is Paul Thomas Anderson's sixth best movie. Oh, come on, we got Punch Drunk Love, There Will Be Blood,
No, you're right,
Phantom
you're right.
Thread,
No,
Boogie
yep.
Nights, and Magnolia.
You're right, it's just that sixth best doesn't really sound like it's selling it. But sure, he's correct.
Better than Inherent Vice.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll sign off now, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching.